Oh, welcome to the Sharpe Show. So happy to have you with me. Almost 7:15 on the East Coast. And why is it 7:15, not 7 o'clock? I don't know. Actually, for some reason, the internet told me to go take a hike and said, you're not going to come on today. So for some reason, I didn't come on at 7. We tried again, and we're now on. So hopefully you guys will enjoy the show just as much being 15 minutes late. So at least that time, probably the first time that actually wasn't my fault. I was actually here on time. Take that, Mike. I was here on time. Sadly, the internet told me no. Sometimes the internet tells you no. That's just how it works. Anyway, this one was not my fault this time. In any case, so happy to have you guys with me this evening. And there were so many things I wanted to talk about today. For those of you who saw my radio show or listened to my radio show earlier today, there was stuff on there I want to talk about so much, but this thing got sent to me literally 3 times. 3 different people sent this or texted me or reached out to me regarding this thing. So I said, I kind of got to do this one. I may change for tomorrow or, Wednesday, maybe I'll change for that. But this one, I kind of had to do this one because, again, I just got bugged so much. And this is actually a talk about property tax. Property tax, Larry, that seems kind of boring. Oh, no, not this one. This one is not boring at all. And it's about property tax. And the reason is it's from Krystal and Friends. And on the Krystal and Friends show, Sagar, who is one of Krystal's friends, decided that he wanted to do a piece on property tax. And you might go, well, that sounds pretty good, Larry, doing a piece on property tax. Sagar is a right-wing guy, and he'll be against taxation, won't he? No. He will not be. And some of you will be surprised. Some of you will not be. But yes, he absolutely is not against property tax at all. In fact, at all. And his logic is, oh my God, flawed. But that's okay. No worries. I do understand. He does have an argument, I guess. He does. And I'm going to talk to you about it because, boy, did it get me triggered. And I don't like getting triggered. I know you think that I enjoy getting triggered. I actually don't. But I did a bit. So, yeah, Phil says, hold on. Sagar is Krystal's new stepson. Maybe. Yes. John says, Sagar is right-wing like I'm a statist. Yes. So that's why it is Krystal and Friends. And let me show you what I mean when I say this so that we're clear on this. And he's very forward about this. Let me be very clear. He's not holding any punches whatsoever. So let me grab this if I can so you guys can see what he's talking about.
Okay, now here's a little pet issue of mine, which I said, I wish I had the time to write this up into a monologue, but I'm going to do my best. So there is a growing effort on the right to, quote, abolish property taxes. I want to say,
yes, there is a growing push on the right, true, to abolish property taxes. Yes, and it has been around for a while. This is not a new thing, but yes, it is growing. That is true. It is definitely true.
The top, I sympathize. Everybody hates property taxes.
Maybe not you, but yes.
Here in the state of Virginia, actually where I live, they even tax your car. You every year you have to pay your annual car tax. And it's one of the most unpopular things that people ever have to deal with. But I want to really dig into this and tell people why it is actually a massive giveaway to the old. And if anything, it needs to be reversed. So let's put this up there on the screen from Marjorie.
Okay, it's a massive giveaway to the older, and it should be reversed.
Green. She says recently, quote, hi, we need to completely abolish property tax. It forces us to, quote, pay rent to the government on property that we own. But if
look at MTG showing some libertarian streak. Okay, look, I'm going to give credit where credit's due. On this one, she's right. And this one, she's right. Yes. Mike, of course, in the house, growing more like constant. Tea Party was not that long ago. True. For those of you who don't know what Tea Party meant, TEA, taxed enough already. That's what T actually stood for. So yeah, that's the piece. Dave says, translation, F the old. He kind of does say that, Dave. I'm just saying. He kind of does.
We don't pay property tax. The property that we own gets taken away. That should never happen in a free country. She says, secondly, health insurance is a giant scam. I agree, but let's stick with the property tax thing because this is actually becoming policy. Let's put the next one, please, on the screen. Ron DeSantis is now proposing no property taxes in the state of Florida. And actually, it's Florida, Ohio, and many other Republican states that want to eliminate property tax.
Well, in New York State, I had a plan to cut it in half within the first 2 years. That wouldn't be a bad idea. I'll take half. Look, if we can abolish, let's abolish. I'll take half.
Ramaswamy has apparently said something similar. The more I looked into this, again, emotionally, I actually do understand. Everybody hates property tax. It's one of the things that included in your mortgage. Even if you finally pay off your house, you have to continue to do it. True. The more I actually started to look into it, not only in what it funds, but the way that seniors.
He wonders what it funds. So does that make taxation okay, Mr. Right Wing? If it funds the things that you want it to fund, does that then make it okay?
Are the ones who are the most benefit, not only of the property tax themselves, which is paid for services, but get exemptions. I was like, wait, no, this is a massive giveaway to the old.
How dare getting rid of property taxes reward the people who own the properties? Now, you could, in theory, look, I'm going to go nuts on this one. You could, in theory, make a change to our system that would be fairer to young people buying houses. That would be one option. Or to hell with ending property tax. He's going to go with, and let's not end property tax.
And it's an inversion of how policy should be. So let me put this up on the screen.
And you heard when Krystal goes, yeah, you know it's bullshit. The second one goes, yeah, you know it's bullshit. And he's doing his own. This is him talking his monologue. This is his pet peeve. So in theory, if we actually had this thing going, right, when he has like a pet project, Krystal, in theory, should be upset, right? Because I thought this was supposed to be left versus right. So when the right-wing guy has his pet thing, right, the left-wing guy should be like, that's terrible. You're bad. That's what should happen. Not this time. Krystal's like, go on, boyfriend. I'm sorry. Go on, son. She's like that. Go ahead. Keep going. You mean a good boy. You were a good boy, Sagar. Good boy.
Then we can talk. I did a lot of this research. This was ChatGPT, thankfully. And I was like, how much property tax exemption already exists for old people? So in Florida, you get this thing called the homestead deduction. That's for everybody. It's for your primary residence, which is off of your assessed value. But seniors who are 65 plus and lower income, by the way, that low income is a very different definition than what I would think of low income. You get an additional $50,000 exemption.
Wow.
In Texas, you get something called the regular school tax exemption. And then for seniors, you get an extra $10,000 off of school.
And he went to the top two, right? Now, you might say to yourself, well, Larry, look, they're letting the seniors scam. In a way, true, right? In a way, his data points are accurate data points. But what does Florida and Texas get for giving away that extra exemption, right? What do they get for that? Oh, what they get is a bunch of seniors spending all of their pensions in their state. That's what Florida gets. And that's what this knucklehead doesn't understand. This knuckle doesn't get that 40% of the pensions that New York State pays out are not being spent in New York State. Yeah. Think about how much money that is. If the average pensioner only makes 100 grand, some make 200 grand a year in pensions. Some make 300 grand a year in pensions. That's true in New York State. Some do. That's 100,000. Think about how many that is. That's $1 billion, if not more, that are now not being spent in New York State. Where they're being spent? Florida, because they got that exemption. So these people, they give away, they're going to spend like $1,000 less on, oh my God, but they're going to spend every year, their entire pension in our state. This is insanely short-sighted. This is insanely stupid. Florida and Texas are growing, gaining people. New York and Illinois are losing people. And he's like, see, we just, this is just a giveaway.
School district taxes, plus school taxes are frozen at the age of 65. the theory basically for property tax and the anti-property tax movement for a lot of old people is, hey, we're older, our kids are grown, so why should we have to pay for schools?
Yes. In fact, why should any of us? But that's okay. Yes. Why should people who don't have kids pay for school? Yes. Why should I pay for these stupid wars that I want? Yes. These are all valid questions. He's like, you gotta pay for these things? What's wrong with you? Shut up and pay.
I think,
and they're leaving.
This is preposterous because I'm forced to pay Social Security and Medicare like everybody else with FICA.
Yes.
I could get hit by a bus on the day I turned 64 and 364 days and get no Social Security. That doesn't mean that I shouldn't have to pay it for my.
It kind of does. Like, it kind of does. Yes. But if you're married, though, and he's married now, he does not get anything. His wife gets a bunch. So there is a system even for that. So even though his logic is, well, if I got to pay for wars, then you got to pay for schools. Insanely stupid. Insanely stupid. Right? Yes. Phil says, that's what I'm going against FICA. Yes. He thinks, he's like, I'm owning you. Again, I want to be very clear, guys. This is the right-wing host. This is the right-wing host. This isn't the lefty host. The lefty host is next to go, yeah, that's the lefty host. The right-wing host on Krystal and Friends is like, yeah, because I don't want to pay for wars. Therefore, you have to pay for schools. I guess that makes sense somehow in his head.
My entire life. Right. So their theory is that we have to pay for their retirement, which, by the way, is pegged to inflation.
He's like, yeah, we have to pay for their retirement so they can pay for our schools. Yeah, look, Sagar, I get it. You got a kid now. I get it. And now you got to put your kid in school. I get it. But let's be real here. Let's just be real. Sagar, you got tons of cash. You ain't hurting. You live in Virginia. I get it. Your kid's going to private school. I'm not trying to be mean. Good for him. Send your kid to private school. I'm not mad at him for it. Awesome. He made some cash. He's doing well. His kid's going to go to private school. Why are you worried? Your kid's going to private school, man. You'll be fine.
But they get property tax, school tax frozen, and now they want to eliminate it entirely, which are city services, which again...
City services, we almost... this is the right-wing guy. Mike, please don't vomit. Mike's probably vomiting right now. I'm sorry, Mike. I should have warned you. Sometimes I don't warn you to get the bucket, and I should have warned you to get the bucket. But yeah. Mike's like, because Mike's actually a conservative, in case you guys didn't know that. He's an actual conservative. He wouldn't be like, but cities. He wouldn't do that. Yes. Yes. Mike goes on to go, listen to his tone. He's accusatory, like cutting taxes somehow bad. Yes. He clearly believes that. Yes. 100%. Mike says, Sagar's not really right wing, center-leaning right at best, more left-leaning right to center. I think that's accurate. That's accurate, Mike. That's good. That's accurate. Yes, 100%.
Who's calling 911 for an ambulance all the time? It's old people, okay? And
stupid old people calling 911. You won't pay for that.
These people want to opt out of that and shift the tax burden to the consumption of sales tax, which would actually be a massive giveaway to them. Not even worse. Let me just continue the rant.
That's going to be a giveaway to them.
It would mean that their primary residence, they have no incentive to sell, which actually locks them even more so into housing stock, giant McMansions, which for two people, which in my opinion, rightfully should go to people with younger housing.
He literally just said, listen to his words. I want to repeat that shit. This is the right wing. I want to be very clear on this. This is the right wing guy. These houses these people have should rightfully, his words, go to younger people. So we should redistribute housing. This is the right wing guy on Krystal and Friends. Just so you're clear. You're like, wait a minute, who's the left wing? What? Yeah, this is the right wing guy. He's the right. You got to say it again, just so you listen. You got to hear this. Yes.
Which for two people, which in my opinion, rightfully should go to people with younger housing. Now,
see that? You should just give up your house, old person who worked your life to have that house. I don't care. Give it up to someone who's younger. See? Look, he's the right wing guy. Redistributing houses. There's the right wing guy. Don't forget that. Right wing guy. He's hardcore right wing.
I'm not saying they should be forced to sell, but to say
you kind of are. Like, you kind of are. You said rightfully. You said rightfully. He didn't go, it's my opinion they should sell, which that's fine. If you have that opinion that you believe that older people should sell their houses or whatever, okay, that's a belief to have. It's okay. He didn't say that. No, he's saying use government force of high taxation. This is what he's actually saying, to force the older people to sell their houses because rightfully, his word, rightfully, those houses should go to, how's the house go to? You give it to someone younger. So, yeah.
That, well, maybe I am, but it's like, I'm not saying there's
time to move on, Grandma.
I'm not.
Oh, see, when you got Krystal like, yeah, time to move on, Grandma. Yeah, Krystal's on board. If Krystal was saying this, I'm not shocked. If Krystal said this, yeah, of course, that's who she is. She'll be like, yeah, redistribute the wealth, throw the old people out, give the houses to whom I decide I should give the houses to. Totally, that's completely what Krystal is. Totally. This is the right-wing host. I've been warning you. They're turning into CNN, which is why it is now Krystal and Friends. She runs this place now.
Say they should be forced to sell. Wink, wink.
He just said they shouldn't be forced to sell. What he said, wink, wink. I have to keep saying this because some of you are like, what? This is the right-wing host of Krystal and Friends.
But the idea that that the government should provide you massive amounts of services, free retirement, free healthcare under Medicare, but you don't have to pay for my kid's school taxes.
You got to pay for my kid. If I got to pay for your bullshit, you got to pay for my bullshit. Or we could stop paying for bullshit. I know you're like, Larry, that's insane. No. It's what I've been talking about forever. You could just stop paying for bullshit. Instead of, well, so, with this logic, well, we should triple taxes. Why? Because I don't want to work. So you should pay because I don't want to work. And my house is big enough. So you should get me a bigger house. So pay more taxes because I need a bigger house. There we go. MW Knox says, Sagar has been on a bad take marathon recently. Yes, but it's not recent. Well, listen, how do you define recent? The second he got married, man, did he just go down, bloom, gone. The second he got married, that was the end. Like, I guess she just went in and went snip, took him and said, okay, these are mine now. You know what I'm talking about. He just did that. She said snip, got them, and they had a baby. And now he spent his time hugging the baby all day. And then boom, they were already gone. And then that was it. And now Krystal said, you are now mine. And he went, okay. And that's that. So, yes. John says, I never saw him as right-wing. Honestly, didn't. But it was less extreme than Krystal. He is generally less extreme than Krystal. That's true. I'll give him that. I think Mike, his description of Sagar, I think, was accurate. Right? Krystal's obviously far left. That's fine. Again, that's who she is. And I actually don't mind that if you've got a righty in there who will fight you, who will go back and forth. I actually like that when it's a real back and forth, right? That's really good. I don't like it when I got far left and kind of far left. That's not really, I might as well watch MSNBC. I get more entertainment on MSNBC, right? Because at least I laugh at that one. That's something.
Get out of here. And now you actually want to shift the local burden to more so to the consumers rather than the elderly people who, again, get inflation-pegged free money from the government. And now
Okay, for those of you who don't know, yes, it is inflation-pegged. That's true. But people who are on fixed incomes, people who are on Social Security and stuff like that, they get the weakest dollar possible. The banks, because of the Fed, get the strongest dollar. They get the weakest dollar. Now, what he's saying is old people. All right. If you look at the top, maybe 30% of the elderly, 25, 20% in that area. Yes, many of them are doing very well. That's true. He's right. But there's literally tens of millions of elderly people in the United States who are struggling. And he's like, to hell with those guys because they're all old. And why am I paying for their this and that? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Most people who are over 65 are not doing great. Many are. Don't get me wrong. He's right. By percentage, they are doing better than others. That's true by percentage. But it doesn't mean all of a sudden every person who's 65 has got 7 houses and doing great. I don't know what he's talking about.
The big beautiful bill, you get a tax-free income for 88%. I just think it's one of those where it's a total abdication by the boomer generation. They're like, oh, we're done with the schools, so we don't have to pay for them. Well, you know, what if I'm done with you? Why do I have to pay for your health care?
He thinks it's an own, but it's not. Yes. How about we don't do any of that? How about we find how about we work to find an actual answer that doesn't require government intervention to service all the people all the time? How about we work on that versus, well, we should just pay for everything then. Everyone should pay for everything. What? Mastermind House says socialism for all. Well, yeah. Michael says, oh no, an old person who wants to die in their home. To hell with that person. Michael is a young guy who needs his house. And Sagar's young, so give me your house. Old person, Sagar wants your house. Done. Done and done. That's the issue. Yes, Sagar is the reverse libertarian. He's socially conservative and physically authoritarian. Nicely done. Nicely done. Yes. Phil says, God forbid you should want some space for your grandkids to come visit you. No. Look at you guys acting like people who have spent their time, money, and energy saving money to buy a house should somehow enjoy that home when there's young people who would want that home. Sagar's like, give it to the young people. What's wrong with you? Wink, wink. Again, his words, wink, wink. I wanted you to see this because sometimes you might think, Lara, you're making stuff up. Oh, no. If you see, I do this stuff right here in front of you. I want you to know I'm not making up what he's saying. I'm interpreting it effectively.
You know, 1% of all federal spending is on boomer dialysis. I'm not joking. 1% of the entire federal budget is on dialysis.
Just let the boomers die. That's what he's saying. You got kidney problems? Pack your shit. That's what he's saying. I need your house. Sorry. He is literally saying, boomers, I don't want to pay for your dialysis, so just die so I can have your house. Done. Now, there is a way you could imagine, if you could imagine, and I'm going to be nuts on this one. Okay, hear me out before you guys yell at me. What if you simply changed policies and procedures and regulations and zoning? Oh, did my thing? Hold on. Is that better? There we go. And zoning, so you could, okay, hear me out. Build more housing. I know, nuts. I know, nuts. You could actually build more housing, in which case you wouldn't have to hope that the kidney broken dialysis, was that liver? That's kidney, right? Yeah, kidney, right? Dialysis is kidney? Yeah, kidney. So that they would, whatever, the dialysis, broken organs, that they would just die so young people can take their houses.
For obese boomers with kidney disease.
It's kidney. Okay, there we go. Yeah, you obese boomers would just die. Saga wants your house. I wish I was joking. You heard him say it.
It's one of those where, and listen, I'm pro Medicare. If anything, you know, we should go after the healthcare.
Okay, the right-wing guy says, I'm pro Medicare. That's the right-wing guy. That's the right-wing guy. Just so you right-wingers get it, this guy's on your side, just so you're clear.
Companies that jack up that spending. I'm not saying we should take it away from you, but.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay. So he's like, I want to punch you in the face. I'm not saying I want to punch you in the face. I really want to punch you in the face. Like, I'm not like saying I'm going to punch you in the face. I'm just saying, wink, wink, I'm going to punch you in the face. So he's like, let's just do Medicare for all and we'll all pay for it. I'm the right-wing guy.
You can't abdicate your responsibility to the younger generation. And that's what.
You got a responsibility to the younger generation. Don't you understand that? Shut up, write a check. You got a responsibility. People think your money's your money. It's not your money. Sagar tells you where your money goes. Sagar tells you where your money goes. You have responsibility. Shut up and give me your money.
All of us is. It's like we literally have a socialist system right now for boomers.
Yeah. We could stop that system. We could. Marasonawa says Soccer's favorite movie is Logan's Run. That's good. Some of you guys know what that movie's about. Yes. Nicely done, Marasonawa. Very good. Nicely done. MW Knox says Sagar has gone full-blown socialist. He's in defending the government taking a stake in Intel too. Yeah, of course, because what could go wrong with government-owned stuff? What could go wrong? Yes, absolutely. Mike goes, giveaway, a lifetime of paying taxes, all taxes. He's upset that they get a very small break towards the end of their life because Sagar is younger and just learning reality. You're not wrong, Mike. I knew this would bug you. I'm like this. He's supposed to. I'm kind of laughing. He's supposed to be one of yours. I know you're ready to yell at me now. He's supposed to be one of yours. Clearly, he's not, but he's supposed to be one of yours. Yeah, he's not.
The more I'm looking into this property tax thing,
the more socialist I became. The more into this property tax thing, the more I thought, Krystal, again, you're right. Because you're always right, Krystal. You are, Mom. You're the best.
I did not realize it's a massive giveaway to the elderly. And it shifts the entire tax burden on people who are younger, can't afford.
I have a chart, therefore tax you. I have a chart, therefore tax you.
The homes being frozen out of the housing stock and
they're being frozen out. See that? Because of this, they're being frozen out of the housing stock. And you know what we can never do? Build more housing. That's impossible. Okay? So stop. You guys, could we, Larry, build more housing? No. That's impossible. There is a limited number of housing that you get that. And because these evil boomers don't want to just die, then they are freezing people out. They're forcing people to not have houses. It's true. And there's literally no way to fix that. Even though in Argentina, Malay just ended government interference and the housing market exploded and the rents went down and accessibility went up. But that's just, there's no way except for that way, which we just saw last year. Except for that, there's like no way at all. Feels like, you go, girl. Krystal, true. Literally doing that. Yes. True. Yes. Absolutely true.
Making it so that they have to have sole responsibility for their lives and for the city services of them on top of paying for the quasi-socialist system of retirement that we have for everybody 65 plus.
I mean, the school thing is just like,
Okay. I want to be clear again before I go down this road. That's the right-wing guy. And by the way, he took this on himself. It wasn't like this is just some random news that he's chatting on. He said this up. His words. This is a pet peeve of his. So the right-wing guy says, I got a pet peeve thing. And the left wing, of course, is now going to attack him and rip him up, right? Okay, let's see how they do this.
I mean, the school thing is just like, do you live in a society?
Thank you. I know. It's great.
Do you live in a society? Pay the taxes. What's wrong with you? And he's like, I know, right? When I saw this, somebody sent this to me. I try not to watch Krystal and Friends anymore. But when someone sent this to me and I saw him go, yeah, right. I was like, Sagar, are they in a jar on the mantle? If they are, get them reattached. Please and reattached. You should be scolding her right now. You should be scolding her right now. Let's just do Medicare for all for everybody. Let's just socialize everything. Let's just do that. I cannot believe this is happening right now. And it just happened. I just watched him go basically, yeah, right? Yes. You live in a society, pay your taxes are great because how else can you survive? There is literally the old saying, there is no way to live in a civilized society except through taxation, right? Yeah, right? Yeah, go girl. That's literally what they're saying. I have to listen to this again because I was blown away by that part. Watch him be like, yeah, right?
Of retirement that we have for everybody 65 plus.
I mean, the school thing is just like, do you live in a society?
Thank you. I know.
I'm shaming people. It's crazy. Look at you wanting to keep the money you earned. You selfish, horrible bigot. You just want to keep the money that you earned. What do you think you are? You live in a society, okay? God, you live in a society. You don't get to keep your money.
I mean, it'd be the same thing if I was like, well, my neighborhood is safe, so I don't want to pay for the cops.
Exactly.
I mean,
you don't.
it's just like, okay, we live in a society. We all live here together.
We live here together, so do as I say. We live together, so do as I say. That's all I'm saying. Yes. Rhetoric says, hey, y'all, just tuning in on my way home from work. Oh, thank you for that. Hope everyone's having a great evening. We are, except Larry, because he doesn't like taxes, and that means he hates underprivileged children. True. Accurate statement. I don't get rhetoric. That's my problem. That I live in a society. Luckily, Krystal has scolded me. So now, since I've been scolded, now I go, you're right. Thank you for the scolding, Krystal. I live in a society. My mind has been changed, and now I'm going to give all my dollars away for society, I guess. Yes, that's what it is. You're correct, Rhetoric. I have changed everything now because of that. Yes. Okay, let me keep going.
Certain things that are valuable to us. For example, the education of the children, right? For example.
See, we got to pay for the indoctrination, education of the children. We have to do that. I mean, they can't read in New York City, but it's fine. We got to pay for that. We have to pay $35,000 a year because taxes, because society, even though private school, to be clear, private school average in New York State is about $7,000 or $8,000 a year. New York State pays $35,000 per year. But society, just stop complaining, Mike. Society. She just told you that. She just scolded you. And you know what always works? Scolding. Every time. If you just go, stupid, you just do that immediately. People change their mind and run right to it. Yes. Danny is in the house. How are you, my dear? Not paying for BS? That's blasphemy, Larry. True. I'm sorry. I've been scolded by both Danny now and also by Krystal. Okay, Mike, sorry. Mike, we got to just pay. Let's just do it. We just got to pay. We live in a society. That's how that works. Yes. So I am important. Sales taxes are cheaper to administer. True. Taxing like true. They are more efficient form of tax collection, not property taxes. True. All of that is true. And not just that. You might go, well, if you just instead, don't do property tax and you instead do sales tax. Well, look, to be forward, if we were to make a shift to sales tax, that would be a challenging shift because we haven't done that in the past as much. We don't have the VAT tax and things like that. Would it be some disruption? Yes. Would you probably have to phase it? You'd probably have to phase it in or phase it out. You would. You'd have to phase it in or phase it out. But the advantage of this is several-fold. If you went to sales tax, again, over time, because culturally we aren't accustomed to having that kind of VAT tax. Some European countries have that. You can swap it here and there. But the issue here becomes, to do that, the elderly also spend a lot of money. Well, the youth spend all the money. No. Over half of their cash goes on rent, which is affected by property tax. Yes, the elderly, generally, and the people he's talking about, aren't paying rent. So where would that extra $6,000 go or $10,000 go, whatever the case may be? It'd probably go on vacations and stuff, or a fancy car. Or many people who are older buy fancy things, or maybe it's online buying Temu stuff. I don't know, whatever. But anyway, that's still tariffs and shit. So whatever, this is still getting paid. Older people still spend money. I see them spending all over the goddamn place. So, and they're spending money on things, not rent. Why? They're not paying rent. So yes, not just that. Sales tax is put together and paid for on a very simple issue, right? It's X 3%, 5%, 10%, whatever it is. I will actually know if you're raising or lowering my taxes. That's an important reason why the government does not want to have just sales tax, because you'd actually know whether they're raising your tax or not. Now you only have to raise their taxes because your talking head told you so. You have no idea. You have no idea if they're raising your taxes. They say, well, this goes to the breaks of the 400 or more or $100,000 or whatever. You don't know. Maybe you listen to your talking head and hope they're right. But when you have sales tax, what was the sales tax? 3%. What is it now? 3.5%. Oh, it went up. Done. What was it? 4%. What is it now? 3.5%. Oh, it went down. Done. They don't want that either. That's how you would know. So yes, a lot of those things. All righty, let's keep going.
Like, we could do a lot better about everybody being able to have healthcare, et cetera. I think you have to
see, if you just paid more taxes, everybody would have healthcare. That's how that would work. Now, not her though, because she goes to private doctors. Now, I don't know if she goes to private doctors, but I know she goes to private doctors, right? I know. I'll bet money. You name the amount, I will absolutely. Yes, she absolutely goes to private doctors. No doubt. Just saying. So we could all have healthcare, meaning you guys could all have Medicare while I go to my private doctor. That's what she actually means.
Ask, okay, there are a certain set of services that people expect and need the state to provide. So there's going to have to be revenue raised somewhere. So
true. That's an accurate statement. If you're going to have X services, you have to raise revenue somewhere. True. But could you raise it through the private market? I think you could. Could you raise it through other ways? I think you could. But in her mind, no. Shut up and pay your property taxes. Socialism matters. Be quiet, because socialism works every single time. With the exception of never, it works every single time.
If it's not property taxes, what is it likely to be? And that's
sales
where
tax,
you,
right?
Where you,
which is what? Massively regressive.
Massively regressive.
Yeah.
Massively regressive. Not a little bit. Massively regressive. Sales tax only screws poor people. That's all it does. But didn't you say that they were paying high rents? Didn't you do a show like last week on how much they're paying rents? Massively regressive. Just destroys people. Kills them all.
So even taking like the age part out of this, our society, increasingly the structure of our society in terms of haves and have-nots, and there is a deep generational component to this, that is for sure.
She's right on this. And you know, I do complain about this. This part is accurate. Again, many times people who lean left, they actually do announce the problem, right? They announce the problem effectively, right? They don't announce the solution well at all. But she's right. Wealth gap is a big deal. Wealth gap is going to destroy this country. If we don't fix the wealth gap, it's going to destroy the country. And I know people on the right go, doesn't matter. You're wrong. The wealth gap is going to crush this country. It's going to make people feel like they have nothing to lose. They're going to want socialism. They're going to want authoritarianism. They're going to want right-wing or left-wing authoritarianism. You're already seeing it. The wealth gap is going to crush it because it crushes our culture. That's why it's bad. It has to be addressed. That part is correct. Her answer, completely not correct. Phil said, thank you for $2, my friend. He says, he sounds like a husband who doesn't want to fight. Yes. Yes. And you see, everyone in Krystal's world is that way. You ever notice Emily's that way too? Yes. Yes. I'll show you a clip I have a little bit later on this one. You'll see. Yeah, you've hit something very good, Phil. You've hit something very good. Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, you've hit something. So, all right. Let me go a little bit further on this one.
Between those who own their homes and those who rent.
Yep.
And if you own a home, you're much more likely to, have a sort of stable life. You're much more likely to have some sort of wealth that you've accumulated. You're building value over all these years.
She's not wrong in any of those things. She's correct. So I have an idea. Remember the people after last year's election? They were Democrats. They wrote that book called Abundance. Remember that? They wrote that book called Abundance. And they talked in the book Abundance about how the Democratic Party in cities is failing miserably. And one of the things they mentioned was so much bureaucracy, so much red tape that things can't get built. Now, what did Chris say to that? Garbage, terrible, horrible. All the hard lefties said that's terrible, horrible. That's the answer. If you lean left, if you would like to go economically left or socially left, whatever way you want to go left, you have to allow things to move forward. If you are a progressive, and I know some of you watching and listening are progressives, if you are progressive, you must allow things to progress. What progressive have become in cities specifically is actually regressive. They stop everything from moving forward. So if you want things to move forward, you have to reduce the red tape and regulations so things can move forward. She's right. People who own homes tend to have all the things she said. Accurate description of the problem. Yes. So how do we fix that? Two things we can do. One, turn government housing into rent-to-own housing, as I talked about before, years ago, shifting into rent-to-own, allowing people who are in government housing to own those houses. Number one. Number two, reduce the regulations so that people can actually build housing. And number 3, end all rent control. Larry, that's nuts. Happened in Argentina last year. Nothing but success. So her discussion and setup of the problem, accurate. I'll give her that. Accurate. Her answer, absolute shit.
You already get big tax breaks from the federal government in terms of mortgage interest deduction.
Yes.
You know, it's a major dividing line.
See that? Go, girl. You keep saying I'm the right-wing guy, and I'm all about what the lefty's saying.
And the
terms of
capital gains
society.
after you sell.
That's exactly.
The right-wing guy. Michael, please don't leave. Michael's ready to jump out of Mike Voss right now is ready to jump out of a window. Don't jump out of a window, Mike. I love you, brother. Don't jump out of a window. He's about ready to jump out of his window. The right-wing guy just said, yes, stupid capital gains. Yes. The right-wing guy said that.
Exactly right. So there you get significant breaks. There's significant built-in advantages to being a homeowner already in our system. So what you're talking about is enough.
So why don't we let more people be homeowners versus punishing the homeowners? Well, because then how could I scold people? How could I have government punish people if I don't do that? What she's saying is true. Then let more people do it. Then we'd all gain, wouldn't we? Yes. MW Knox says, Saga wants grandpa and grandma to eat the bugs. True. Yes. Yes. John's like, libertarians, let's stop funding healthcare indoctrination camps altogether. That solves both problems. That solves both problems. Yes. Massman Hour says, they've always been the spawn of Ryan Grimm. That's very good. That's very good. Look, I like Ryan Grimm. I do. I think the guy actually does care. I think he actually cares. I mean, I think he's wrong on almost everything, but I think he actually cares. The problem I have is I don't mind this. You see it on the show here. I bring on people from the left and right all the time. I go back and forth. I talk to people here, left and right. There should be a back and forth. When I'm getting this, I might as well just watch MSNBC. Oh, I'm sorry, MS Now. It's not MSNBC anymore. It's MS Now. See, because now it's cool. I know some of you are like, wait a minute. MSNBC is gone? It is. That crappy station, MSNBC, no more. The cool one now is back. MS Now. Way different. Way different. MS Now. This will become Krystal and Friends now. Is that KF Now? KF Now. This will become KF Now. Yes. Okay. John says, I'm okay with school taxes. My local school does a great job of being a center of the community. Local radio covers the games. Locals all donate there. 5-cent deposit bottles. You're not part. I said, I'm not against this concept. I'm not against local people deciding they want local schools. What's wrong with that? That's a wonderful idea. But imagine if instead of a state and federal government running your schools, I mean, this has been a thing for a while. I'm going to be very clear about this, John. The Department of Education at the federal level has only existed since around 1980. I think it was signed by Carter in 79, if I'm not mistaken, but didn't really come into effect until 80, 81 is when it really became something of any real. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's true, 80, 81. So every single president that we've ever had has been educated without a Department of Education. So any president that you think was smart or savvy, I mean, if you think any of them were, right? They were all educated somehow. Every Supreme Court judge, all educated prior to the Department of Education. All of them. Somehow locally, we taught people how to read and write. Somehow in America, for 200 years, without having the Department of Education, we were one of the highest literacy rates in the world since the 1700s. I'm not making that up. One of the highest, if not the highest, in the world since the 1700s without the Department of Education. Somehow, when you allow local people to educate their children, they educate them. It's nuts that when you say, hey, local people, you can educate your kids. They go, okay, thank you. And they educate their kids. Now, but there's people who don't educate your kids. There's people who don't do that now. During the lockdowns, we lost over 1 million kids. Gone. In New York State, 100,000 or so or more, gone. Don't know where they are. That happens now. So I'm with you. I don't mind this idea of local people putting their money together and creating school. Why not? What if you all want to make a rule to where every teacher gets $100,000 a year? Awesome. If it's your money locally and you want that, good on you. Pay teachers $1 million a year if you want to. Your money, you decide so. You think it's important. Do it. Absolutely. No problem whatsoever. Why is the federal government involved? Why is it involved? Should not be at all. So yes.
Other tax break for homeowners who are much more likely to be, affluent than people who are renters. So, if you were going to instead fund things with a actually progressive income tax code, okay, then we could talk. Then I'd be open to it.
See, if you tax the hell out of the rich people, then I'd be open to it. Just tax rich people more, because that works every time. With the exception of never, that always works. Every time. With the exception of never, that always works. Every European country that's tried it has stopped it. Every European country that's tried it has stopped it. Why? It never works. New York City tried it. What happened? People physically left. Yes. He's the one talking about. Sagar showed the data up front. He said, look at Florida and Texas. And what did they have? A bunch of retirees spending all their money in Florida and Texas. I would like them to do that. Yes. Now Mike's getting mad. He goes, stop putting him on my side. He's an ocean away from my side. True, which is why I like doing that. Because he acts like he's one of yours, Mike. I know he's not. I am well aware he's not one of yours. But he thinks he is. He's saying it. He said, see, you're now getting to feel how I feel when people like, let me see if I give a good one. When people like Ben Shapiro used to say, hey, I'm kind of libertarian. Yeah, I wanted to vomit. Because one thing Ben Shapiro is libertarian. And he would act like he was. He's doing it much now, but he used to do it all the time. I'm really kind of libertarian. No, you are not libertarian, my friend. No, you are not. No, you are not. So yes, welcome to my libertarian world, Mike, when people decide they're libertarian when they're not. So yes. So let me grab a couple more of these.
But that's not the direction that they're pushing in. They're pushing, okay, we're going to do sales tax. And why is sales tax deeply regressive? It's because the poorer you are, the more of your income you're spending on consumption, because your back's against the wall, your paycheck to paycheck. So basically everything that comes in is going out in expenditures. So as a percent of your income, you're going to be taxed much, much more.
Okay, I don't think any of that's true. Hold on. Let me check this out. Hold on. Let me what she just said.
Because the poorer you are, the more of your income you're spending on consumption, because you're
okay. I'm not sure that's accurate, because if you look at what many people who are not doing well, they spend a lot of their money on necessities, meaning things like rent, car insurance, things like that. And so what they spend left is just whatever's left over. Right. So by percentage, it's actually less. When it comes to people who are elderly, they tend to, this is tendencies. They tend to have less housing costs because to a point, they own houses. Many of them, they're paid their mortgage off. But a high percentage of their income is being spent on things like buying gifts for grandkids, traveling, stuff like that. So I'm not sure this is correct. I think she may be making this up. But let me walk down her road anyway. Let's assume she is correct. If you look at the Nordic countries, Scandinavian countries, who have much more of a social safety net, by percentage, the poorer people spend more, but they get what they want. Their smaller governments actually are able to respond to them. They say, I want a free bus, they get a free bus. They say, I want, whatever, healthcare, they get it, whatever. They get what they want. They pay higher taxes, but they get what they want. Their government responds to them like a business. Now, the wealthy people aren't using these services. So they actually, by percentage, pay less. And the Nordic countries are okay with that because they're not using the services, right? If I'm wealthy in Denmark, I'm not using the bus. I'm wealthy in Denmark, I'm not using the system there. I have private doctors, right? So I'm not using the system because I'm wealthy. So I actually pay less. That's how they look at it. She doesn't want to hear that shit. She won't hear that.
It's your back's against the wall, your paycheck to paycheck. So basically everything that comes in is going out in expenditures. So as a percent of your income, you're going to be taxed much, much more.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I don't think that's true at all.
The thing is, it's not
idea.
just a red state. And by the way, you wouldn't believe the boomer rage I've gotten for talking about this. But the more I look into it, the amount of breaks these people get is unbelievable. I talked to a state legislator who got mad at me. He's from New Hampshire. He's like, what do you?
New Hampshire. Yeah. Yes. Ryan says, is it just me or is the GOP going full-blown socialist? Have they gone? They kind of been there for a while. They kind of been there. So that's it. Master says, is it going to be a new precedent? Does that mean I can repossess Saagar's new teeth? I mean, should he have them? I'm just saying, maybe someone younger should have those teeth. Just saying, maybe they should. Yep.
You talking about, idiot? Nobody freezes property taxes for people in New Hampshire. Took a simple Google search to find out that 13 of the largest cities in the state of New Hampshire, 203 localities, all provide something called an elderly exemption for property tax. The theory behind it is that these people are on fixed income and that they don't use the schools, so therefore they deserve the break.
He somehow says it's a bad thing. So New Hampshire, being a cold state, wants to keep their elderly population there. Why? Because elderly people spend a lot. Ask Florida governors. They know. I don't know what Krystal's talking about. Elderly people spend a lot of money. They do. And I know that. I see it. I've been begging elderly people to stay in New York State so they can spend their pensions here, right? Elderly people go out to the diner. They go out to the local place. They bring their grandkids over. They go to the local fair. I go to state fairs. Lots of elderly people at state fairs. They love that stuff. They like going to these places. I go out to diners. You know, I was literally doing a trip last weekend, right? Lots of elderly people at diners. They spend lots of money at diners. It's a common thing. So New Hampshire wants to keep them there, spend their pensions at the local places. And Saagar's like, these dummies. It's almost comical.
Again, that is the same argument that the school voucher people make about their property tax.
Yes. Yes. Correct. And they're valid arguments. He's like, these people are like saying we should make that. Correct. Yes. He somehow thinks it's an own. Well, if you're a lefty, that would be an own. True. And Krystal's like, go on, you go, girl. Because, yes, absolutely true. Michael says, so old people cause homelessness? I guess they do. According to Saagar, that's the problem. These old people, Michael, they're the problem, homelessness. You rich old people who own homes, it's your fault. See that? Selfish people.
Or private schoolers who are like, oh, but I send my kid to private school. Why should I have to pay?
Yes. The right-wing guy is saying
into the system. Or, oh, well, I don't use that much trash. Why should I have? It's like this, you know, it's almost like a libertarian mindset.
And to be clear, he said it's almost libertarian mindset, and he said that with the utmost disdain. He said that with the utmost disdain. Let me be very clear. Libertarians are correct. We are right. We are truly correct. And how do I know that? A guy named Javier Milei is proving us correct in almost everything. We are correct. Libertarians are right. We have the right answers. Keto is magic and libertarians are correct. These are just laws of nature. That's just what they are. And he's like, it's just libertarians. Libertarians. Yeah, we're correct. Yes. Here's the funny part. He loves Dave Smith. He does. He has him on a show all the time. Dave Smith's libertarian. Stupid libertarians.
But it's only libertarian, and the only opt-out exists is for the elderly. Now let's compare U.S. socialism for 65 plus to 0 to 5. That's where my baby is.
That's where your baby is. Okay. So here's what I want to do, everybody. We should start changing all the laws. And all the laws should make sure that everyone in their 50s should pay no taxes. Why? Because I'm in my 50s. No, I'm not. I look younger. Anyway, I am. Shut up. Stop bugging me. Young 50s. Maybe not. Anyway, my point being, everyone who's my age, whatever age is, my age might be, I'm 25. Whatever my age is, you should pay no taxes. Why? Because it's my age. And in fact, anyone who has kids my age of my kids should pay no taxes because this is my kids. Why would you eat? This is almost like a joke, isn't it? It's kind of like a joke, right? Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Mike says, lest everyone forget MTG, an actual Republican, like or a hater. It's true. You're not wrong, Mike. Wants to cut taxes, common GOP promise, and Trump actually did. Sagar is leftist light, pretending to be the right. Yeah, I didn't want that to be true, Mike. John goes, oh my God, the civilized society argument. I know. We hear that. Libertarians hear that crap all the time. Yes. Liberty says, UBI is coming faster than I thought it would. I will probably see it in my lifetime. Sadly, yes. That's the hard part. Sadly, yes. Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So Mike says, how long till Saga wants euthanasia for the elderly like Canada? He's just short of saying that. Oh, no, he already wants that. Oh, yeah. You're right, Mike. You've read that perfectly. That's his next step. Yes. Yeah, 100%. That's the sad part. Absolutely true. All righty. And Bill's on board. You're right, 100%. That's the beginning of the euthanasia argument. Yes, it is. Ken goes, taxes are the price you pay to live in a civilized society. We've heard that how many thousands of times have libertarians heard that argument? What kind of civilized society not only allows theft, but insists on it? Yes. Dave says, Larry, you just hate children and the homeless. Why don't you leave the children and the homeless? You know, you're right. I do hate them. I hate them all. True. Guilty as charged. Yes.
Right now. What is she getting from the federal government? Zero. Nothing. I get a measly tax deduction.
You get a measly tax deduction for having kids. You should get everything. You should get free health care. You should get free everything. You, the right winger, one more time, I'm doing air quotes, the right winger, you should get everything. You had a kid. You are therefore God's gift to this planet. You should have everything. That's how that works. Ryan says, did Krystal leave Kyle at McDonald's again? Kyle won't mind. Just leave him with his Happy Meal. Well, yeah, but you got to give him like an iPad or something, right? Whatever, so he can play some games. Then yeah, be fine. Just do that. Be fine. Yes.
What else? Pre-K when they turn like 4 or something like that. In between, good luck. Hope you make decent money.
Yeah. If you're Zoran and you propose free childcare, people are going to say you're a communist.
And yeah, while they again get.
She's like, yeah, you should get free childcare. And Saga doesn't go, no, free childcare is a bad idea. So I was like, yeah, free childcare, because I'm a right winger.
Free healthcare. They get completely free healthcare. Now, a sane society would say that
okay, the healthcare isn't completely free. That's not true. They don't get completely free healthcare. If you are on Medicare, you do pay something. But yes, but basically free, yes, but not totally free. That's all.
If you have to choose between them, in my opinion, 0 to 5 is way more important, especially than 65 plus in a country where people live until 83 years old.
To hell with you old people. You 60 or plus 65, just drop dead now. Just drop dead now. That's what he just said. Just drop dead now. Drop dead now. Done.
Old. So now I'm not saying throw everybody out on their street, but for all of those folks, if you guys are going to get your free healthcare, don't be coming around saying, I don't have to pay any property tax because I've already paid it and I don't use the schools. Again, we all have to pay for your retirement. And if you really want to get technical, on an accounting basis, the average senior who retires at age 65 in the year 2020 paid $600,000 into the system. Okay. You get 1.2 million in benefits over the course of your life. Double, literally, what you ever paid into the system. Yeah. So the idea that, you've paid for everything you get, no, it's false.
No, you haven't. You didn't pay for nothing. You didn't bill that. That's what Obama said. You didn't pay for that. What's wrong with you? See that? You didn't pay anything. You don't owe you nothing, you old people. What's wrong with you? Now, look, I'm a libertarian. And I've said I don't like Social Security. But even when I've said my plans to get rid of Social Security, never would just like stop it. It was always, how do you pay them back? How do you make them whole? How do you come with a local community answer to solve this problem? Right? There's many ways of solving this problem. We have put ourselves into a spot that is very challenging. That's absolutely true. It's not easy to fix this. Can it be fixed? Yes, it will take time and energy and probably cost a lot of money to pay some of the people out, to set up the right types of accounts required to get people to be able to work this. Yes, but it could be done. He's like, no, you didn't pay for it. You got nothing. We're paying for you. I'm paying for you, so go to hell.
Now, I'm not saying we should bankrupt you or take a lot of the stuff away.
Or take a lot of this stuff away. I mean, take most of it, but not a lot of it. I mean, I'm saying bankrupt you. Just take a bunch of your money. Because I'm a right winger and I want to take all your money. Because that's what right-wingers always want, I guess.
Favor of reducing the massive amount of costs in the healthcare system. But the current way that it's structured is everything is about tax breaks for the people who are already homeowners, which disproportionately are the elderly.
All right. That's true, but that's not their fault. Look, some of you guys are talking about Krystal's clothing. And let me tell you how I always deal with this, to be clear. Is a woman's clothing or dress or looks fair game? Only if you are also going to do the same thing for the males. That's it. Now you might go, Larry, can I say what I want? You can. And I'm not saying you cannot say what you want to say. You have free speech. Say what you want to say. But I'm going to tell you my view. This is my view. You will never hear me talk about a woman's looks in any way, shape, or form, clothing, looks, makeup, whatever, unless I am also attacking the male for the same thing. For example, if I talk about how hot AOC is, I will talk about how hot Gavin Newsom is. If I talk about how attractive someone is, I'll talk about the male and the female. I will cover them both. I will be judging them the same regardless of gender. If I do that, that is fair game. If you're judging males and females on the same criteria, I don't have a problem. But Larry, that sounds almost woke. I don't care. Culturally, we've been doing this against women for literally centuries. It is unfair when someone is, now don't get me wrong, if you're dating or it's personal, you can trash someone's looks all day long or compliment them all day long. That's personal. You're going to date them or talk about them personally, no issues. But when it is doing with policy or government or things of that sort, I only talk about a woman's looks if I am also judging the male in the same way. Then it's fair game. Then it's fair game. Otherwise, in my view, it isn't. And that's why you're not hearing me talk about that. You guys can if you want to. I think it's inappropriate. That's my opinion. I wouldn't do it unless you're going to judge all. If you're going to say, yo, Sagar looks like crap because he wore this or that. And Krystal, oh, that's fair. But one is unfair, in my view. And it's because, yes, culturally, we've been doing it for a long time, and it's unfair. That's my view, in any case. All right. I am for him. Says, kudos to you, sir. You include solutions in your podcast. Bravo. People are hungry for solutions, not just problem talk. True. Yes, absolutely. Mike's like, stop calling him right wing. I do love that. I do love that. Yes. He's trying to. He's pretending. So, yes.
Let's put E4 here up on the screen because this is very important. If you look at the current data, home buyers over the age of 70 currently outnumber those under 35.
Now, this is again, I want to be very clear. This is a real problem. He is correct. Again, in expressing the problem, Krystal is correct. In expressing the problem, Sagar is correct. This is a problem, right? This is a problem. So what's the answer? Higher property tax? That's what Sagar's actually saying. I'm saying, let's make it so that people under 35 are able to buy houses. Then this won't matter anymore. There are other, this is the same thing about when it comes to, I brought up earlier today, when it comes to the people who are sitting in DC, about 700,000 people whose vote doesn't count. Now, of course, go make DC a state. I'm not against making DC a state. I'm not against it. What I'm against is there people want to make DC a state because they want 2 more Democratic senators. That's the wrong reason to make DC a state. Now, if you tell me that's the best answer, I'm okay. I don't care either way, to be forward with you. But another answer could be, instead of making it a state and fighting over it, instead making the workstations within the work buildings within DC the actual district, to where there are no residents in DC. Everything outside of the work buildings of DC goes back to the states, goes back to the Maryland or Virginia. These people now get a vote that matters in Virginia or in Maryland. Their vote now counts. So I can solve the problem without having to make DC a state. Again, I'm not against making these. I don't really care either way. All I know is it's a problem and the people need the vote to count. We need an answer for that. It's BS that they don't have the right to vote. Their vote doesn't matter. That's BS. We should solve that problem. This is the same thing. This is a problem. The fact that people under 35 don't own houses, that's a problem. Doesn't mean the answer is tax the hell out of the 70-year-olds and throw them out of their houses so that under 35 can have those houses. That isn't the answer. So yes.
And in particular, it's for larger houses and or starter homes. So the way that the tax system is now currently the way that the current tax system is that boomers are getting free Social Security, literally free. 88% of you will not pay any tax on your Social Security because of the new standard deduction, which is only.
Yes, but most of the people who aren't paying aren't homeowners. That is, yes, a lot of people, boomers who are getting Social Security. He acts like everyone over 65 is a homeowner and making $1 bazillion a year. Some are, and by percentage, more of them are than other generations. True. That, again, accurate statement on that. Doesn't mean every single person who is 65 or older is all of a sudden making $1 gazillion and owns a home. No, a lot of people over 65 are struggling and basically living paycheck to paycheck. In their case, Social Security check to Social Security check. So yeah, he's cherry picking data. So yeah, Liberty says someone called Larry a liberal during the radio show earlier today. It's true. Yes. And I got a lot of calls. Like, maybe I should be a liberal. I'm not sure. Maybe I should. Masvidal says, Liberty, I thought Larry would have already gotten a nose pierce. Yeah, I'm going to get a septum. I'm going to paint my hair blue. Doing both. Become a liberal. If it gets me phone calls, I might do it. You know what? I might do it. We'll see. Yes. Mike says, DOE started functioning in 81. There we go. Yes. 81. I knew it was like signed in the 79, but it wasn't really working till like 80, 81. Yes. Let's see. He goes on. Yes, every president to date never had government teaching them. True. And we got to the moon. Credit internet. Yes, we credited the internet, got to the moon without a DOE. Yeah, we have to have it. Yes. Yeah. Oh, Dave says, yeah, separated from the Department of Health, Education, and Welfare, 1979. There we go. 79, it was put into place. 80, 81 is when it actually started to function in any way that we might, check it. So yes. All righty.
For people who are over the age of 66 or whatever, by the one big beautiful bill. You get free money from the government, tax-free money, basically from the government. You get free healthcare, capital gains, no tax on your residence, which massively has boomed. You can roll that into a new house, and a lot of them are choosing to live lives of relative luxury for how they grew up.
Yes. Yes. Now, to be clear, the right-winger and I'm using air quotes, so Mike, I'm obviously teasing, the right winger on this show is mad that people are living relative to the life of luxury from when they grow up. They've moved up in their social status. How dare them? How dare you move up in your social strata? What were you thinking? Get back in the ghetto. What's wrong with you? Get back in there to trailer park. Get back in the barrio. What you doing? Think you gonna work hard and get somewhere? Young people need your house. Head back to the ghetto. What's wrong with you? Yes, I can say ghetto. I grew up in one. I can. You want to say the hood? I guess you say the hood now. I don't care. I grew up in one. So anyway, yes, I can say that. Anyway, my point being, that's what they want to do? Come on now. Come on now. That's the answer.
Now, I don't bemoan or begrudge anybody for being able to do that. I do think there should be a reverse of the system to incentivize first-time home buyers over people who are already elderly. So if I want to see tax breaks, I want to see them for the people who are under 30, not for the people who are over.
Well, I'm actually, see, that was the nicest thing he said. Why don't you just say that? Just say that. That's not crazy. Hey, you know what? People under 35 are struggling to buy houses. Why don't we have extra tax breaks for people who are under 35 buying houses? Oh, it's fine. That's not a crazy concept. That's more right-wing than the crap he's saying. That's more right-wing than crap he's saying. The quote right-winger guy. Yeah. It absolutely nuts that's actually a thing. So yes. Phil says, you know where it's not Krystal and friends? Civil. Phil, true. That's an accurate statement. There is no Krystal and friends on civil. That's right. But you're saying, well, Larry, what's civil? Well, yes, civil. Here's the piece I want you to think about. You might be saying, wait a minute, Larry. This guy, Sagar, is talking about how Gen Z and millennials and they need the houses and all that kind of good stuff. Is that really true? Is there only one side to the story? I'm going to give you the answer. No, there isn't just one side to the story. So where can I find the other side to the story? You know where it is. It's on civil. That's what you find on the side of the story. This is a guy named Jeremy. I don't know how to say his last name. I think it's pronounced Horpedal, but I could be wrong. I'm sure Nick's going to tell me in a second. He's saying, are millennials and Gen Z actually worse off their parents? Jeremy says no.
It's an interview with Nick Gillespie. I have got a great show for you today, but first, let me tell you about one of today's sponsors.
No sponsors.
Why is it so important to foreground that you're doing something adjusted for inflation?
I guess part of it's a little bit of a joke to people who follow me that, I often will present data and really try to tell people, yes, it's adjusted for inflation. And then people will still ask, but is this actually adjusted for inflation?
So this guy's a geek going to tell you about what's actually working. Now you might go, wait a minute, Larry, all I've heard is that millennials are worse off. Gen Z's worse off. He's saying no. Why does that matter? Because on civil, you actually hear things that go against the narrative. On civil, you actually understand how, and with data and information, and not yelling and screaming, and not blood sport. That's actually true. So if you want to do that, you can do me a favor. You can join Civil if you want to. Head over to civil.com, CIVL.com. And when you go on there, click the upper right-hand side. It's going to be shaded in green, and put the code in. The code is Larry, Larry, the coolest name on the internet. That's true. And you get 50% off for the entire year. $25 for the year. Yes, the entire year. $25 watching all the cool things on Civil. And somehow every single show, I show you something that has something to do with what I'm talking about. That's on Civil, to give you more details, more background, what's happening, and not blood sport, but instead real details so you can speak intelligently about these issues. Now, some of you are going to watch that and be like, this is garbage. No worries. You will now have good arguments against this guy. Or you're going to go, oh my God, this guy's right. I believe it. You will now have good arguments for this guy. Either way, you will be better at knowing what's happening and why it's happening because you watch Civil. That's the issue. It's important you do that if you can. Head on over to Civil, civil.com. The code is Larry, Larry, $25 of the entire year, 50% off. That's dirt cheap. It's a steal. If you're going to say taxation theft, this deal's theft. You are now a thief. Taking a steal, you are a thief. You're basically the government taxing people. That's what you become. So become the bad guy, please do so by heading over to civil.com. Look, I want to upgrade civilization by having good conversation and change people's minds. That's what Civil's doing. Pop on over there if you would. Thank you for that, guys. And thank you for that good push. I do appreciate that, Phil. You were rocking and rolling. Phil also is over on Rumble, and he says, thank you for the $1. He says, I'm really annoyed. We're told that Social Security is insurance / buying a pension, and then we're told it's free money. Get out of here with that garbage, Sarah. Yes, which one is it? Yes, which one is it? Is it both? Neither? I mean, it's a Ponzi scheme, but that's okay. That isn't the point. The point is they're going to tell us one or the other. That's what I keep hearing. So what did you just see what he did? Phil has been very good. Phil has done two things. Phil has actually ranted on Rumble, and he's also super chatted on YouTube. You guys can do that too. If you want your comment to go to the front and be seen, you can super chat me on YouTube or rant me on Rumble. Either one of those two, and it goes right to the front. That's the advantage. Right to the front, and I pick it up, and we start yapping about what you want us to yap about, even when it's off topic, which sometimes drives me crazy. But that's fine. You should still do it. If you also want to help out, you said, Larry, I don't have anything to say, but I still want to help you out. You can become a member. Head on over to YouTube, Sharpe YouTube, click that join button, $49 per month. Keeps more of this happening. I can spend more time doing this and less time working, and I'll be on time more often. That's not bad, right? Membership does matter. If you can, please do that. It is helpful. All right. I do want to head back over to, if I could, I do have a couple more things I want to wrap this piece up if I can, because he's not done being cringy. You're like, wait a minute, Larry, he can't be any more cringy than that. No, he can be. And let me show you. It's not done.
70. But then you can't be buying your McMansion, which in my opinion, again, should be probably going to somebody under the age of 35, and then not pay any property tax for it.
He said it again. He didn't say it one time, it was wink, wink. He said it again. Your McMansion. So your large house that you bought, that you wanted to have for you and your spouse or you and your grandkids or whatever, that's a McMansion. Dismissive, chump. Who the hell you think you are? You can't have a real mansion like him. You got to have a McMansion, chump. That's who you are. And you shouldn't have it anyway. You should go to someone who's young. So give McMansion up because I'm a right-winger conservative, I guess.
For it.
Yeah.
Because that means you're never going to sell it. The carrying cost is way too simple for you. It's like the deal of the century that we're just handing over to all these folks. And here's the thing, you and I.
See, you're handing it over. Isn't that crazy?
I know it's going to pass in Florida. It's full of old people. Their entire state is subsidized by the federal government because we pay for their residents' income and we pay for their health care.
So why wouldn't other states want that in their state? Yes. Yes.
So now, you know what they're going to do.
We also pay for like their homeowners.
Well, yeah, and we pay for their homeowners, right? And we insure all of their property, which by rights nobody should even live in because it's near the ocean and is constantly getting destroyed.
I mean, I think there's overlap between. So I think the proper way to look at the taxation system.
Tell me the proper way, Krystal. I'm curious because Sagar, I mean, he's the right winger, so you square him away on whatever.
Other than a generational war, zero sum between what the elderly could get versus what young people could get is, I mean, the big problem is that the wealthy pay very, very little in taxes. There's not a progressive.
They pay no taxes, these wealthy people. They don't pay anything except Mike says top 5% pay 70% of taxes. Bottom 50% get refunds. No, Mike, because Krystal has told you you're wrong. You and your data and facts. Krystal feels like they don't pay much. And what she means is there is a, as most propaganda, which is what she's saying is propaganda. What most propaganda is always based on some kind of truth, a kernel of truth. And then from that kernel of truth, it's expanded to garbage. The kernel of truth is the wealthy by percentage do pay less by percentage than some regular mainstream workers. That is true by a percentage of salary. True, right? To be clear, that part is true because of how they make their money and such. That part's true. But to your point, most people get refunds. So there's a small chunk that by percentage pays more by percentage. But when it comes to overall taxation, and what you just said, Mike, is worse in New York City. The top 5% pay like 90% of taxes in New York City. It's crazy. So yes, she's utterly wrong. That's propaganda. That's what it is. Mass Van says, I thought her name was spelled Krystal Ball. Cute. Very nice. Liberty says, Ben Shapiro, libertarian. That's effing loud. Yes, he used to say that. Not he doesn't anymore, but he used to say that. Yes. Crazy that he used to actually say that. So yes. All right. Let me keep going down here again.
Of income tax system in the way that there should be. And I'm talking nationally right now, but certainly in states like Florida that don't even have an income tax. And so, what you end up with is because you had older generations who were able to acquire wealth at a time period, more during the New Deal era when housing was much more wildly more affordable. Healthcare was wildly more affordable. Education.
Yes, that is before that. Right. She's correct. That's before government took over all those things. What she doesn't want to say is, during the New Deal. Yeah. Remember, the New Deal is what gave government all the power. Prior to the New Deal, government didn't have all that power and the shit was cheap. But she won't get that. Well, New Deal. Yeah, which wrecked everything. She doesn't hear that.
Was wildly more affordable. College education in certain places was free at the time.
Government wasn't involved in it, was it? Government now is involved. Government wasn't involved before. Weird how that works.
So you have a wealth disparity between generations. Again,
her answer is garbage, but she's expressing the right thing. There is still a wealth gap. That's true.
But the big war is the class war versus the generational war. There's overlap there. But, to me, that's the frame to look at these things.
I don't disagree. And politically.
Of course you don't. Sadly, Sagar, of course you don't.
But no politician will ever talk the way I'm talking. Why? Because old people are the only ones who vote.
They all talk the way you're talking.
But the thing is that it is important still to say that the middle class elderly is way better off than the middle class young person. Yeah. It's just empirically true.
A lot of that is homeownership.
And it's homeownership.
So let them buy homes. Sagar's answer is take the homes away from the old people and give them to the young people. That's the answer. That's his answer. Or you could let them buy homes. You could do that. No, not at all. Phil over on Rumble, thank you for $1. They demand all these things to be run by the government and then complain people use the things that they were forced into. Yes, because government's monopoly. True. If insurance was private, they would build more hurricane-resistant houses. True. Yes. Accurate. But why would you? Yes, absolutely true. All right, I'm grab a couple more comments if I could. Let's see here. See if I can. Phil says the Schenectady casino is full of retirees. Most casinos are full of retirees spending money. Yes, retirees that I know spend lots of money. Phil goes on to say he's against school vouchers now. What is he conservative on? I don't know. That's why Mike is getting so mad at me when I keep calling him right wing. This dude is clearly not right wing. I mean, clearly not. Yes. So, yeah. Mike says, this is the least logical, empirical, reasonable argument outside of MS now. If Sagar wasn't married, I'd say he was doing this to impress a woman to get sex. Wow, that's really good. Yeah, except I don't think he cares about it anymore. I think they got snipped, Mike. I think they got snipped. I'm not sure he's concerned. Rick says, Sagar hates us for our freedoms. He does. It's true. He actually does. Yes, he actually does. Yep. Dave says, my trash collection is private. Lots of places have private trash collection, Dave. You're correct. It's about $250 a year, billed quarterly. Yes. And you can decide if you want to have trash however you want by whatever company. Yes. Absolutely. 100%. So there we go. All righty. Let me go down here if I can. All righty. Let's see here. Dave says MTG believes in Jewish space lasers. Yeah, I didn't say she was perfect, Dave. I said I always give people credit where credit is due. And in this case, she's right. That's all I'm saying. In this case, she's right. And I'm going to give her credit where credit is due. And in this case, again, she is right. Yes. All right. So let me go grab down here. I do so many people popping things up here. I appreciate all of these. Missy says, please check out the great content like the Sharpe Show on Civil. Yep, a sponsor of the show. Use code Larry. Oh, look at that. Thank you for that. That's correct. We talked about Civil already. Correct. But there's something else. Hold on. Dave, hold on. Says he has a solution. Here he says, Dave says, Larry, here's a solution. A flat 10% tax and a $25,000 deduction. Tax 10% of the remainder after deduction. The tax code has people chasing deductions. I think that concept is a good concept. I'm not against any of those concepts. I'm not sure 10% is the right number, but yes, I get the concept. 25% may not be, 25,000 may be too low or too high. I'm okay with that either. Yeah, I agree with you. I think that is a flat tax is a much better plan with a floor, right? Yes, whatever that floor is. I think it's a much better solution. I agree. I've said in New York State, the floor probably should be about 40 grand in New York State. But if it's national, maybe it's 25 nationally. But New York State probably should be about 40 grand is my assumption. It's in that area because New York State, of course, is expensive. So maybe. Yes. All righty. Let's see here. Phil says Australia has privatized old age pensions and it didn't have a recession for 30 years. Well, there we go. Look at that. There we go. Dave says, translation, put old folks in government housing like the Soviet Union. What could go wrong, Dave? What could go wrong? So over on Rumble, JJ says, Sagar's more like a populist. He has a daughter and wife now. What I fear regarding dating and marriage, having to choose between politics, last ideas versus loving a significant other. I think you're right. He's more of a populist. I think that part's true. But he wasn't supposed to be that, right? And what made this show decent was that him and Krystal would go at each other and push back on each other. Those days are gone. So, yeah. Sharpband12 says, MTG must have gotten better advisors or started doing her own research because she seems to be getting smarter. I'm not necessarily sure that she's getting smarter. I think MTG has always been a rebel. I think that part's true. Whether you agree with her or not, or the space laser thing, I think she has been a rebel. And I think now she's realizing that some parts of the Republican Party are becoming very establishment when she thought they were rebels, right? She's becoming disenfranchised with the current Republican Party because it's becoming so establishment. And she wants to be a rebel. That's what I think she is. I think that. So I could be off, but that's my gut. So, all righty. Mastermind says Wall Street's a Ponzi scheme too. True. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Wall Street is a casino, and it should be run like a casino, and it shouldn't be run by the SEC. It should be run by a gaming commission. It would actually be fairer and safer if it was run by a gaming commission. Even if the gaming commission was the mob, it would still be safer and it would still be surer than that. I'm not even joking when I say that. It would be better. So yes. Ms. goes on to say, take the free quiz, The Advocate for Self-Government, a sponsor of the show. It's free, fast, and fun way of exploring where you stand politically. True. And what I want you to do that, she's right. There is a link specifically in the Rumble, a link on Facebook, and a link on YouTube. That specific link, this is a link to the advocates. Please take that link, head on over to, and don't just look at that. She's right, but I want you to look at something else if you would. I want you to look, if you would, at the articles on the advocates, the articles. And this is one of them I thought was interesting. It's an article on the best form of law. Yeah. Is it a law that, fortifies a hierarchy or not? Is it one that focuses on locality or not? Max Borders wrote a nice article on this, talking about different types, right? And it's an interesting read on where it comes from, how it acts, all that kind of stuff, back to Roman times to today. It's an interesting read. Why would you want to read this? Only about 4 or 5 minutes long. Reading this will make you think about what is right and what you think is the right way of having actual law. It's important you do that, right? If you spend a couple seconds working on that, here's what I want you to do. If you read it and you like it, do me a favor, share it. Share it where you want. Share it someplace with the link that's there. So people will use that specific link. Share it someplace else. Let people see. If you don't like it, I get it. Move on. I got you. Don't share it. You don't like it. If you like it, please share it. Sharing what the advocates is doing is important. I use the advocates, their World's Most Political Quiz when I'm out and about doing stuff. It does matter. Please help out. They sponsor the show. Pop up on the advocates if you would. It really does matter. If you can share it, please share it. Every single share does matter. In fact, don't just share that. Share this show also. Share the show. Repost the show someplace. Share the advocates so we can keep this going and make this show more and more popular, because the show has to grow, and it can be tough to grow the show. It can be challenging, and I would like to grow the show to the best of our ability. So yeah. All right. Let me go back, if I could, to the end of this piece, and we'll wrap it up, as he is spending more time loving what Krystal's saying, because he's on the right kind of ish, I guess is what they say.
Tax breaks are unbelievable. Or like in California with Prop 13.
You people giving tax breaks? What's wrong with you? I'm a right winger. I hate tax breaks. Oh, wait.
The biggest load of bullshit I have ever seen, that these people who buy a house in 1976 explodes in value from 100,000 to 2.5 million, living in Santa Monica or whatever in Los Angeles, are paying massively low property tax rate compared to somebody who has to purchase the home, let's say in 2015. I'm sorry, it's not right. And they're like,
then, okay. Again, in that case, he's not wrong. That isn't right. I agree. But why would they do that? Because they want the elderly to stay and spend their pensions in New York, in that state, which somehow Krystal says they don't do. Somehow the elderly don't spend money. Somehow Krystal says that's bullshit. So they want them to stay there, right? I would assume. Now, if you're saying, wait a minute, it's all too high, so give the young a benefit too. Yes. In which case you want more tax breaks, right?
Like, oh, but it's not fair because I'm priced out because of the property tax. Listen, if you were, this is where my personal responsibility spiel. If you saved your money and you put it in the 401k like you should have, then you should have no problem being able.
See that? Now all of a sudden he's libertarian all of a sudden. Should save you money. See, personal responsibility. That's libertarian. All of a sudden, stuck libertarian today. 5 minutes ago, he was like, stupid libertarians. Now he's a libertarian, right? If you put your money in your 401k like you should have done, because Saga got some cash. Saga got money. You don't got money? That's your fault, dummy. That's what he says. Meanwhile, people getting laid off left and right. Meanwhile, AI trash and everything. Meanwhile, how many millions of migrants came to take all the other jobs that the men don't want. Meanwhile, 10 million men, between 7 and 10 million men checking out and don't even want jobs. But you just have a 401k, dummy, and you'd have all the money you need. See that? Now all of a sudden he's libertarian all of a sudden. That's how it works. Even I'm not that cruel. And I'm an actual libertarian. And I'm not that cruel. So when it comes to him talking trash, he's crueler than most libertarians I know. But then when he wants what he wants, then libertarians are stupid. Huh. That's weird. You guys watched it. I didn't make that up. His words.
To pay your property tax. But their argument is that, again, their free inflation adjusted income should be able to sustain a like mansion in Santa Monica. Preposterous. The property tax should be pegged to the accurate market value. And if you have to sell, so be it. You should have worked harder and should have saved more.
Should have worked harder, dummy. That's your problem. Lazy. See? Bad things don't happen to people ever. People don't get unlucky. People don't make mistakes. You just got to work harder because all of a sudden now he's the cruelest libertarian on the goddamn planet. 10 minutes ago, he was like, stupid libertarians. Now he's the cruelest libertarian around. He's basically Ayn Rand now. He's objectivist. He went from being socialist to objectivist in like 5 minutes. Did I make that up? I didn't. It's true. It's true.
More money. And it's just like infuriating that they continue to try and stop paying for school taxes, cap their own property taxes, and make it so that they can live in housing stock, which again, by any fair market should, and fair societally should.
Not only is he doubling down, this guy is tripling down. And he used the word of words. He used the word of words. Fair in society. I want to be very clear. This guy claims to be, Mike is claiming, don't get mad at me, Mike, he's claiming to be a right-winger. That's what he's claiming. I have to go back to hear this again. I told you he was going to be cringier. And he is. So listen to what he said. I don't think I'm making this up.
Market should, and fair societally, should be occupied by people who are younger, who literally cannot get into them.
I mean,
it's only fair that the government throw the old people out and put the young in. It's just fair, okay? You people, it's fair. So it's okay when the thugs come in and drag granny out. It's fine. Why? Because it's fair. Young people should have that. They can't get in. They can't get in the house. See? So the cops got to come and drag granny out, and then they have the house. Why are you mad, granny? Go into the Soviet era style, whatever. Just you know what? Just get off. We're spending too much money anyway in your dialysis. So just die. Okay? That's Sagar. I can't believe he said this garbage. I know why 3 people said this to me because they knew I'd get triggered. And they were correct. So yes, absolutely true. Yes. Phil over on Rumble says, old people should die and get rid of the excess population. End quote. Scrooge Sagar. Yes, because he wants their house. And to be fair, it's just fair. Societally fair. He said it. I know some of you are like, what? What? Yes, he actually said it. Yes. Mike goes on to say, people earn their retirement after decades of sacrifice. Sagar, stop being jealous and entitled. Raising kids is hard and expensive. Deal with it. Yes. Yes. John says, I don't hold a grudge towards you, but I hold a grudge towards you. True. This is literally Sagar. Yes. Yeah. Dave says, so Andrea, I know a 7-year woman that gets $1,000 a month on Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Is she living large? According to Sagar, yes. Get out of your house, old granny, because the young guy needs it. Sorry. Yes. According to him, yes. According to him, true. So, yeah, it is. Oh, my God. This is just, okay.
It's basically, I think people should just think of it as a tax cut for the rich, effectively.
It is.
I mean, that's just
It is. You can't get rid of property tax. It's a tax cut for the rich. That's what it is. And he hates that because he's right-wing, right? And look, if Krystal was going, Yeah, 100%. You go, girl. You know you on the wrong side. Like you're on the wrong side. I'm sorry. Unless you are hardcore lefty, then you're on the right side, obviously. But assuming you're not hardcore left, if Krystal's like, you go, girl, you're doing something wrong. Aren't you? Aren't you?
Unfortunately, who's going to benefit from it. And so if, my metric is just, is it a regressive or progressive tax? And
my metric, it does not matter whether granny gets thrown or not. My metric is whether it's right or wrong. Does not matter. My metric is, can I say that I'm punishing the wealthy and virtue signal effectively to the people around me? That's her. And I'm not joking. That's what she wants. She is talking about the concept of, can I virtue signal effectively and say that I'm punishing the wealthy by taxing them more? It doesn't mean that it's actually going to work or do anything, because it doesn't. We know it doesn't, but she doesn't care. She's openly saying the quiet part out loud. She doesn't care. The issue is, can she virtue signal?
If you are getting rid of property tax and shifting that burden over to an income tax, a consumption tax, not an income tax, rather to a sales tax, a consumption tax, you are giving a tax cut to the rich and you are funding it with a working class tax hike.
It's true.
That's what you're doing.
It's true. I'm a right winger and I agree that tax cutting is a terrible thing.
And so if you just look at it through who benefits and who's going to bear the cost, I think it becomes pretty clear this is a bad deal for average people.
I had to
say it's a bad deal, so keep property tax. Okay, for her saying it, I'm not surprised. She should say that. That makes sense for her. Why the hell is Sagar saying that? Why is Sagar saying that? Right? Why is it like, it's true. You're right. Yes, mom. That's exactly right. Why is that happening? I don't know why that's happening. That's the part that's crazy. So, yeah. Liberty says the housing was more affordable before the regulation of the real estate crash. Forced everybody to get mortgage insurance if you couldn't put 20% down. Oh, there we go. Didn't recognize that. There we go. Yes. So, all right.
Senior replied, and I was like, what about death taxes? You wouldn't even know anything about that. And it's like, bro, unless you're worth $34 million when you die, you're not paying an estate tax.
Yeah.
It's like, so actually just tell me you're filthy rich.
We barely even have a death.
That's what I'm saying. It's like
death tax.
The exemption is.
You don't want any death tax, you stupid people. What's wrong with you? MW Knox says, women go woke when they go to college. Men go woke when they get married. Is that true? It looks like he has. So maybe. Mastermind says Sagar's offshoot of the right is make elderly destitute again. That's Meta. Yes. He's part of the Meta group. Correct. Yes. 100%.
It's $15 million per person. So you're worth more than $30 million.
It's one of the most.
You think you shouldn't have to pay any taxes?
It's one of the most important.
Okay. No one's saying you shouldn't think you shouldn't pay any taxes. What he's saying is maybe we don't want to pay taxes on the wealth we've accumulated. People don't want that. But he didn't say that. Of course, he does straw man because they always do straw man. Derek says property tax is not a good thing because it just gets passed on to families that rent. True. Yes. True. 100%.
Reasons that we've had increasing, like a solidifying class structure, and less upward mobility is the lack of an estate tax.
Well, it's not just.
Okay, let's be clear. She's correct in that we have, again, she's correct in talking about we have a lack of upward mobility. That's true. That's a problem right now in America that we have to fix. Also a problem that we're talking about with the wealth gap. Wealth gap's a problem. Lack of social mobility is a problem. But she's like, it's, because estate tax. That is, they have nothing to do with each other. Nothing to do with each other. Yes. Andrea says, flip-flopper, he's infuriating. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And not just that, he's disappointing. Because how can you... Emily is much better on her own show. She has her own show. She's much better on her own show. When she's in this show, she just bends over. So does Saga. They just bend over, right? And then Krystal and friends just smash everyone. That's how it works every time. So yes. Zero the alpha? Zero Thalfa says, let them eat cake. Saga. True. Yes. Yes. Mike says, this argument should never have been allowed on credible news media as a commentary argument. I disagree with that, Mike. I think it should if you're going back and forth where now you can challenge it. I think The argument is a fine argument if someone's going back and forth. But when the person next to you is going, you go, girl, now it doesn't mean anything, right? So if they were going back and forth, if you were there to discuss it with him, right? Then we're going back. Now it's a real thing. What about this? What about that? You would give him data on the actual people paying taxes. Then it will be a real conversation, right? And then if the left-wing person, right, if you were here with Krystal, she would tell you, I don't care if it's true because blah, blah, blah. And people would hear that. And if all you care about is ideology, you'd be on her side. Of course you would, because ideology would matter more to you, right? So of course, I don't have a problem with this argument. I have a problem with it not being an argument. That's the problem. It's not an argument. Kenny says a fair society. I know. Yeah. That once they start using the fair thing, yeah, that's true. So yeah, Masman says a fair is where you eat cotton candy and step in elephant poop. True, but in New York it's usually horse poop or cow poop. It's not elephant poop. It's horse or cow poop. Just that's how it works here. Yeah. So Phil goes on to say life isn't fair unless you're a carny. Then it is. Or he says if you're a clown. Also true. Yes. All righty. So yeah. All right. I'll keep moving down here if I can. Let's see here. That works today. Here, Joel says, college topic. My daughter had her first day of class today. She sent me a text saying her writing professor mentioned every liberal talking point 50 minutes. Of course. Phil says, Undercurrents is amazing. That is her show, right? That's Emily's show. And she's better on Undercurrents. She's not good on Krystal and Friends. She isn't. So, yeah. Mike goes on to say, notice that Saga and Krystal speak as if they're not rich themselves. No hint of them paying more taxes. Everyone else has to. Agreed. This because they're virtue signaling, Mike. They're both virtue signaling. Yes. They're just virtue signaling. That's the whole piece. So yeah. I wish they weren't, but they are. Yeah. So anyway, let me wrap him up and I'll do one more piece.
It's actually step up basis, in my opinion. That's that is the crime of the century. All right. I'll end it there. I know the boomers will be mad, but I'm sorry. It's like you said, we live in a society. You have to pay for.
You gotta pay. I'm the right. I can't even. I'm having trouble keeping a straight face saying his stupid shit. Yeah, see, guys, you live in a society. You just gotta pay, and you gotta pay for whatever I say you have to pay. Whatever I decide is right. So yeah, you just gotta pay, people. And look at Krystal. Look at she's so proud of her son right now. Look at Krystal's face. Hold on. Look at Krystal's face. If I can show it right. Can I see? Yeah. Look at her face. She's like, I'm so proud of my son. Yeah. Every man around her is her son. Yeah. Just is.
Us, because we pay for you. Literally, that's what the money is for from the government.
And like, did you go to school
exactly.
at one point in your life? Did people pay taxes
so did.
That you could go to school?
As I'm sitting here paying for your dialysis, it's infuriating. I'm sorry.
See that? It's infuriating. You stupid old people. You stupid olds. Why won't you just die, you stupid olds? Yes, that is the worst part. All right, I will do one more piece if I can find it here. Hold on. All right. Let me grab a couple more of these if I can. All right. Some of you were talking about my trip this weekend. And yes, I was out in New York State this weekend. I did like 8 or 9 stops this weekend for those of you who are there. And I will be doing another group of stops next week also. I'll start tomorrow or the day after promoting those so you can see. If you guys are in New York State and you want to come see me live. I do show up and do stuff. Last Thursday, I had a bunch of people show up. Some of you, I did a live so you guys could see that. On my Larry Sharpe YouTube page. It went live on that page. Friday, had some people showing up on Fridays. Did a radio show. Was on a radio show in Utica Friday morning, last Friday. Had a couple good events on Saturday and on Sunday. Sunday night was a huge event in Dutchess County. Was that 25 people there? I'm guessing. I forgot how many. A lot of people there. I think about 25. Maybe 20. I don't remember. A lot of people were there. A lot of newbies, new people seeing me. Some of my people who always see me, I love you guys also who show up. So yes, you can just see me and talk to me. You can just do that. You can just come by and say hi when I'm going around. I will get that up coming up here soon by tomorrow, day after. I'll show you where we're going. I'm crossing the state yet again. Mostly upstate next week. It'll be the Hudson Valley and Capital District areas. And then week after that, I'll be downstate. I'll be in Queens and Manhattan coming down here. Then I'll be heading back up again in a little bit of future and back and forth. So yes, we will be going back and forth. You can see me if you want to. All right, let me see if I can grab some of this here. All right, here. Let me see. He does try to push back on this one. This is something he did. This was actually today. All right, hold on. Let me see if I can find this here. I want to space. All right, here. All right. This is him talking about Trump putting troops into Chicago and such. And he's actually trying to somehow defend Trump on this one. So he's trying to be more of a right winger. He's trying. He's failing miserably. He's trying on this one to make this happen. Okay, here we go.
The city of Chicago is one that was like the #1 cause for people who were leaving the city, which is destroying their tax base. That is.
Now, this is a different topic, but why am I going to show you this? Because I'm going to show you how he collapses. I'm going to show you how he collapses. Rick, oh yes, thank you for this before you do this. Krystal needs Robbie Sauvé. I'm better yet replace both Robbie and Brianna Joy Gray. Yes, one of the best shows there were, Rick, and you are correct. It was back when Rising had Robbie and Brianna Joy Gray. They actually went back and forth. They actually fought. It was actually a show that I wanted to watch because they would, to my point earlier, Mike, his argument should be heard with someone to counter it. Brianna Joy Gray is obviously a hardcore lefty, obviously, and Robbie would counter her. Robbie is obviously Republican, and she would counter him, right? That was good. I got to hear both sides, a little bit blood sporty, but, you know, they also could talk too, but a little bit blood sporty, but at least they were going back and forth, and you got to hear, I love Brianna Joy Gray. I adore her, and we do not agree on most political issues. Why? She is she's an honest player. She believes, she's trying to make things right, and she comes at you at least with facts. She doesn't just go, I feel bad. She comes at you with facts, and she says what she believes is true. So I adore her. I think she's amazing. And Rick, I saw this comment, and I got to jump on it. Yes, it was good. Yes. Liberty says, Kennedy's show was better. Kennedy's show was good too. I miss Kennedy's show because she would have a lefty, a righty, and a libertarian on all the time. And we went back and forth. We did. I thought that was great. Yes, I completely agree. Yes.
Is empirically the same problem across the entire major city.
Now he's saying the problem is crime and a feeling of crime, and not just violent crime across all of the systems. And I agree. Yes, that is a big issue in the major cities in America. That's true.
Cities in America. This isn't just about Memphis or any other places. And it's also a bit of a cop-out, in my opinion, because Memphis.
She goes, cop-out, in my opinion. He's like, I'm trying to push back, Mom. Don't get mad. With respect, Mom. With respect. He says that. It's a cop-out, respect. By the way, Matchman Hour says, Bree is both brilliant and beautiful. True and true. In my experience, dangerous combination. I'm okay with playing with some of that fire. All right.
It's never claimed to be the third largest. Memphis is not the third largest city in the United States. It's not a center of commerce.
Now he tries to push back. In my opinion, Mom, and she's like, look at the smugness in her. Look at the smugness in her. Come on, son, stop.
It's lost on no one. These are all blue states.
I'm not.
Right.
I'm not.
I mean,
disputing.
Can we just be honest about what's going on here?
Absolutely.
And can we also be honest about, imagine if you had a Kamala Harris administration or a Joe Biden administration that was deploying the National Guard into red states to enforce COVID rules.
Mom, I'm agreeing with you. Please don't yell at me, Mom.
Everybody would be freaking out. And yet, this pretext of, it's about crime. That's just complete and total bullshit. DC is not even in the top list of cities for violent crime in the country.
No, she then goes to violent crime. This is where she does what she always does very well, right? She goes, crime, violent crime. He said it wasn't about violent crime. It is about also non-violent crime. Both of those things. And that's true. It's about things like shoplifting, pickpocketing, all those things.
I am not saying that this is all about crime. What I am saying is that I think it's bad and a bad idea for Democrats, particularly, to not acknowledge the fact that most of their cities.
And look, he can't look at her. He looks down and away. She looks right at him. She looks right at him. I'm not. He looks down and away. She looks right at him.
suck to live in. And I think that is one of those which needs to be like centered at the heart of blue governance. This is one of the things I appreciate.
That's true.
No, it is.
She's like, it's not true that blue governance is failing. Blue governance is clearly failing in cities. Clearly failing in cities.
True. I mean, these are all like net population loss cities.
He says it, net population. I live in one of those blue cities and one of those blue states that can't stop losing population. Texas and Florida, red states, growing population. Clearly that's accurate. She's like, that's not true. Why? Because I say so.
Here's the thing. If you want to get violent crime down.
Look, he walks away, looks away, and goes, oh. And she keeps talking. And she keeps talking.
Down,
but it's not just about violent crime.
If you want to get crime down to like European capital levels, then okay, let's have European style gun laws.
Well, because that's what works. We have worse than European style gun laws. Worse. This is the same horse shit they always say. Now, he should be fighting. He is supposed to be a right winger. Clearly, he's not. So he should be defending gun rights, right?
Let's have European style social safety net.
It's a canard because we've always lived in a
we've
always lived in a gun ownership country. We haven't always had this level of violent crime.
Did he see him push back a bit? We haven't always. See, Mom, don't be too mad at me.
Now, the point is like, if you go back to let's say the year 2000, if you check both violent crime and just generally, were you walking down the street seeing homeless vagrants constantly harass people on the street? It was not happening. We had plenty of guns. Yes, there are 400 million guns in this country. Our violent crime rate and our homicide rate is always going to be orders of magnitude. That's why it's not necessarily the metric why you need to look at. You need to look at the fact that a lot of these places have sky high taxes. They have sky high cost.
Okay, he's right. However, it's not just that. Go back to the guns. Lax gun laws means less crime. Let me say it again. Laxer gun laws means less crime. That is statistically true. That is demonstrably true. That is empirically true. He should know that. I know that. I will always say that. Yes, absolutely true. Yes, 100%. So Andrea says, violent crime isn't committed by law-abiding gun owners. True. Rick says, Sagar is only conservative in that he's a liberal. That's true. Mike, nice one. So can we have European levels of stabbings? That's a problem, Mike. I don't want those. Phil says, Sagar is her abused puppy. I know. Masmanowitz says, Sagar feels like a big boy in his booster chair. Well, yeah, put him a little higher. Give him some padding. He should be fine. Absolutely.
Of living, and they're very unpleasant to be in.
And so deploy the National Guard and federal. I mean, that's the thing.
Nobody said that. Nobody said that. Yes. Nobody said that. Yet again, 100%. Masmanowitz says, more gun laws means more double parking during drive-by stabbings. Also true. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Yes, you're not wrong.
It's like, I hear you on the crime. We've had the debate. Like, we can continue to talk about this.
Which is dismissive. We've had a debate. Shut up, son. Okay? We don't talk about that anymore.
This is not about crime.
I agree.
This is about domination.
I agree. I'm with you. I'm the opposite right wing, but I say I agree every 5 minutes. When does she say she agrees? When you say something she doesn't like? Never. Never. I just wanted to show you that last piece if I could. That's what's happened. That's why this is now Krystal and Friends. She runs the entire show. You can get decent Emily when Emily's on her own show. You can't get decent Emily on this show because it's Sagar and Friends. Yes. Andrea says, shut up. It's my turn to beat you. Correct. Absolutely. Yes. Absolutely true. So yeah, really, really tough. I want to bring that piece up. I know it's a problem. You guys get mad at me sometimes for showing this, for showing Krystal and Friends, but you guys sent this to me. So that's not my fault. You guys sent that to me. Not my fault. If you want to be mad, blame the people who sent that to me. A lot of you guys absolutely sent that to me. So that's why I did that one. So guys, I'm going to ask you if I could click the button known as like Lima, India, Kilo, Echo. Please do that. I want to talk about my trip in a second, but please click that button. It does matter. Remember, we are also on Spotify now. If you listen to me on Spotify, you do two things on Spotify. Number one, give me a 5-star rating. If you don't think I'm a 5-star rating, I don't care. Give it to me anyway. Because I'm good looking. Do it because of that. I don't care. Give me a 5-star rating. And then email it, share it from Spotify to other people. Do that so people can see it. That's being shared. It does matter. If you have not shared this someplace or reposted this someplace, you hate old people like Sagar does. Why do you hate old people? Why are you so mean? do that. If you've not followed me yet on Sharpe Way, please do so. Sharpe Way. If you can, it does matter. If you can, remember, become a member if you can do so. If not, just subscribe. Subscribe is also going to work. And make sure you're subscribed on YouTube. And also make sure you click all notifications so you get notifications every time I go live. So when I screw up and mess up somehow and got to go back on again, it does matter. Please do that. It does matter. Please go ahead and make that happen to the best of your ability. So yes, thank you. All righty. Let me bring up, if I could, real fast, what I was doing this weekend. This weekend I was out. I am out and about in New York State. I'm be out and about a lot here in New York State. I am, as you know, considering making a run next year. I'm considering doing that. I'm out there seeing what's going on, checking things out, seeing how I feel, meeting people. And boy, so far has the connection been very good. People are very much interested in me making something happen next year. They're very interested in what I'm talking about. The policies I brought up are very positive and good. So I'm very happy to see that. If you guys can come see me, if you want to come see me live, go ahead. I'm considering doing a couple of across the country, national stops coming up here in the next couple of months. Might do a stop maybe in California, might do one in other states. I'm considering those also. So if I'm out, please come by and check me out. You can check out, if you want to see me, to be clear, I want to make a distinction here. The Sharpe Way show is not the same as me doing my political things as Larry Sharpe. They are two separate things, just so you understand that. If you want to support the show and me on a personal level, please feel free. You can do it either by, the things I mentioned. You can do it on Facebook. You can do it on Sharpe Way YouTube by becoming a member. You can support Civil, which helps support me also. Any of those things will help me support me. That's me. If you want to help me do my political things, that's LarrySharpe.com. It is two separate things. LarrySharpe.com is specifically set up for me to go out and do political things. That means that for me to go across the state, for me to go to other places, for me to go raise money for other candidates, for me to get my word out and across New York State, for me to make things happen politically. They're two separate things. If you want to support me there, head over to LarrySharpe.com. Again, two separate pieces if you want to go do that. If you notice, the things that I talk about when I'm out and about in New York State, they don't pop up on Sharpe Way properties. They only show up on Larry Sharpe properties. They're two separate issues. If you want to do that, please support me. If you want to, have to do so. You can also go to Zazzle if you want to, Zazzle.com. If you want some Larry Sharpe merch, go to Zazzle.com, put in Larry Sharpe, you get Larry Sharpe merch. If you want Sharpe Way merch, go to Zazzle.com and put in Sharpe Way, and you get Sharpe Way merch. Whichever you prefer. If you want merch, that's awesome. That would be amazing if you want to help out. So make sure that's clear. And Phil says it, hashtag don't give up New York. I am trying to not give up New York. And Phil says, FEC, this is separate. Yes, it is FEC. It is separate. He is correct. Guys, do me a favor, if you would, remember, after this is over, please comment. And if you would do me a favor, comment on what you think about Krystal and Friends. What do you think about that show? You think about Krystal and Friends? Do you watch it? Do you not watch? Do you care? Let me know what you think about it, please. And remember, if this is not live when you're watching it, it's the day after or something, you're going to see a couple of videos pop up. When those videos pop up, please watch one of them right away for 8 to 10 minutes because the algo, Mr. Rhythm, loves that tremendously. I'll be back on tomorrow at 7 or 7:15 if things fail, but probably 7. I will see you all.